Hello, shalom, my friends, shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And it is a delight for me to be bringing to you this, well, there he was. Now I see a door. Now I see a man with headphones again. Shalom, oh my God, let me make sure he's unmuted. Tony Sportiello, first of all, we can see you. Can we hear you? Hello? Say something. Hello, shalom. He's in his theater, by the way. This is a brand new off-Broadway theater called the AMT. Now, Tony, can you even gesture or do? Can you? Hello. No, you're. I don't know what the thing is. Cannot hear you.
Let me see. He's on his phone, probably.
Yeah, you have to hit some sort of button on your eye thing.
We can ask him to unmute.
It's not even doing this thing.
Oh yeah, I think if he unplugs his earpiece, maybe. I don't
maybe
know.
If you unplug your earpiece, you kind of make believe you're doing a circumcision on your ears.
Or have him join, leave, and come again, but connect audio through his phone.
Yeah. So see if like on your honeymoon you can come again. Oh wait, now you're connecting the audio.
Woo!
Hold on. Shalom, Tony. God damn it, no. No. Apparently we can abort babies, but we can also abort sound here. Hello? Shalom? You're outside, or ish, in a beautiful day. Tony wanted to surprise us by showing us some actors and tech people who are involved in a show at the AMT. Unfortunately...
Can you text him, or do you have his text?
Only in Facebook. I can't... Oh, there's the theater. I guess it doesn't matter without doing it. This is the theater. It's on West 45th Street, either between 9th and 10th or 8th and 9th. Brand new awning there. Sideways man. A man going in. So he's giving us a basic tour without the sound. That's all right. That's great. He's coming into the front door of the theater.
Just have him reconnect.
Yeah, well, I think let him sit down and get settled. But now he's just supposed to show us what the theater looks like. There's a door. The theater has a door and an exit. So if you hate the show, you can leave. If there's a fire, you can leave too. Now, oh, look at this. This is wiring. Oh, boy.
He thinks we can hear him.
Right, well, he doesn't know. He doesn't have. He can't. But he's just giving us a tour. This is fine. He's not talking, so I think he knows that I'm talking and he's not. We'll see. Oh, look at this. The dressing room.
He tried to connect with audio. Maybe I can connect with him.
All right. But this is the dressing room for the AMT. Oh, yeah. All right, ready? Okay, we're going to do this. I want to show that before, but now I see his sunglasses, his glasses.
What
is the thing?
Wait, no, ask him to talk. Tony?
Hello?
Shalom, Tony, there you are.
Yay!
Hey guys, sorry about that. We have in this brand new theater, we have all kinds of dead spots going on, and that was one of them. I'm going to take a second. Hold on, though.
Is that a rehearsal going on? Is that Shrek Jr.? Oh, I hear the sound of children. It makes my skin crawl. All right. Right. Hello, shalom. Oh, no, this is good. All right, look at that. People, I see people. Hello, shalom to you all.
It's a beautiful theater.
Yes, it is.
Beautiful.
Yes, it is. I couldn't really hear the singing in the thing, but.
Okay, all right. We're done with the preview. They were very excited that you were going to be on, and they were going to be on Dave's Gone By and with the rabbi. So they were thrilled about that. They were in the middle of a song, unfortunately, but.
What song?
What song was from Shrek Jr.? What were they singing?
Yes, from Shrek Jr. I don't know exactly which song. Unfortunately, I'm not as familiar with the score on that as I should be, but I will know by July 8th, 9th, and 10th.
So who's directing Shrek Jr.? Obviously you're not. Or who is?
I'm not. Mary Lauren.
Who?
Mary Lauren. She's the head of our youth program.
Now, tell me about this theater, this AMT theater. So do you have one stage space? Do you have two different spaces? Because I know there's an upstairs. There used to be an upstairs and a downstairs. What's up
No,
with it?
we don't own the upstairs yet. There is a church up there that has it for 18 months, and at the end of it, they may renew, they may leave. At that point, we'll figure out whether or not we want to go ahead and take it. It's trouble enough and money enough to do the downstairs, I can tell you that. So, but in 18 months, we may reassess and say, sure, let's grab it. So right now, we only have the ground floor.
You have the ground. How many seats is that? It looked about maybe 80, 90, or how many do you have in there?
There's a balcony upstairs, which has another 20. So it's 99.
No, so is that officially an off-Broadway, or are you off, or depending on the contract?
Well, it depends on the contract. We are an off-Broadway theater in that we can have 100 seats in here. And Love Quirks is actually running under an off-Broadway contract. They have tickets at TDF and TKTS and such, which you can't do if you're off. Wow. So right now, it really depends on how many seats you have. We are a little flexible. We can have 100, we can have 99, we can have 98, such like that. So it's it really depends on the contract.
Now take us back. Take us way, way, way back. So Tony, you knew the producer of this program, Dave. I know him very well too. He's kind of an asshole, but you knew him when he was doing a play or having a play done at Madison Avenue Theater.
Yes.
Is that where you first met him?
Yes, that's exactly where I first met him. Madison Avenue Theater used to be a Korean massage parlor on the 4th floor at 33rd and Madison. And it was a huge space for a tiny theater. Such. I remember we got our seats from a bus depot at first. Before we actually had any seats, there were bus seats in the audience. And yes, so I met Dave doing that in that theater, at least one play, maybe two. I don't remember. That was way back in 91, 92.
May have been even in the 80s, but yeah, no, it would have been, or certainly the early 90s. Probably a play called King Solomon the Wise. Nothing to do with me, but he did that was a comedy. And then maybe
very funny.
The Sky is Calling. I'm not sure. Or Blind Date. I'll bet they did Blind. Everybody does a blind freaking date. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, Blind. I think we did both. I'm trying to remember, but I think we did both. And that was a tiny little 30-seat, 40-seat house at the best on it with the clip lamps and with, back in the 80s and 90s, that was the way off-Broadway theater was done.
But did that give you producing there? Were you the artistic, or what was your?
Yeah, I was the artistic director. Jay Tanzi was the producing director. Jay did most of the hard work, like building the set and the lights and the bringing in the seats. And I chose the plays and, most of the actors and directors and such for that.
Now, what did you, it was obviously a learning experience because you were there for a few years. Was it a glorious endeavor, or did you always feel like a weight was on your shoulders having to run this theater with no budget, really?
With no budget at all. We lived on the box office back then. We had no grants, we had no donations, we had no dues from any actors or such. We lived on the box office, which meant that you had to produce a new show every 2 weeks. And while we were doing the new show, we would be rehearsing the next show in the daytime. We made a deal with the local bar, which was Brews at the time, that they would feed us, thank God, if we would bring the cast and crew over to the bar after rehearsals and shows. So
brilliant. Give them, and they'll give all the money, the little money that they're making, back to the brilliant. Yes.
That's how we survived for, I think it was 3 years or such, that we went on.
That's how long you lasted? I thought it was much longer than that. It was 3 years?
At Madison Avenue? No, I don't think so. I think we went 91 to 94, maybe 95, but I'm not 100% sure.
And what happened after that? You were writing plays. Where did you go after Madison Avenue Theater?
Well, the Workshop Theater on 42nd Street in Dyer was a place that I landed at and started writing plays with, and Jim DeMars and Michelle Bouchard were there. Sam Shack was there at the time. And I started doing 1 or 2 shows there, and I became artistic director of that in 2000, I believe, because I know I was the artistic director during 9/11.
Stop. Like so many questions. What was it like having it? I mean, we can talk about the pandemic, but what was it like having a New York theater over on Dyer? I mean, I was far from Wall Street still, but how did you guys make it through that era in New York?
It was tough. We did not have it. We had a fifth floor walk up. Again, I know, and we had a fifth floor walk up, no elevator. My dad came once. That was it. And we had clip lamps on there. We had basic sound and lights. I mean, really basic stuff, but very tiny stage, very tiny air conditioning, and about 30 seats. But we did show after show after show. Now that did have dues on there, and it was maintained then, but it was so relatively inexpensive. It was so relatively inexpensive that if we were late a month for rent, our managing director, who I believe was Darby Townsend at the time, could write a check for it and not really be hurt too much.
But New York rents have always been insane. How come it was so cheap? It was before Theater Row became Theater Row again, or what? Yeah.
No, it was before Theater Row became Theater Row. The Clurman and the Beckett and the Judith Anderson were there, but we were on the same building with Alice's fourth floor, and the Abington and the Pulse. We're all in that same building. But I say it was inexpensive. It was relatively inexpensive.
Well, theater's always going to be, what was your proudest moment at the Workshop Theater?
Oh God, there's so many of them. We did a show by Alan Nee, which was when I was not artistic director. It was called The Man Who Was Peter Pan, and it was one of the
good play. That's a really good play. Yeah. I'm telling you, it just is. They turned it into Neverland, the musical, but the play itself was really good.
Really good play.
Yeah, it was a play ahead of time, and then they turned it into Finding Neverland, the movie, which was with Johnny Depp, I believe, and so on, and Kate Winslet, maybe. But yeah, they turned that into that, which was done by a couple of workshop members, Tracy Becker, and Nellie Bellflower were producers of that. They were workshop members. They took the show from there and produced it in Hollywood. So that was great. But I tell you the truth, we knew early on that we had to leave that fifth floor death trap and move to a bigger space. So we did, and this was the luck that we had. We found the space on 36th Street, which was 36th Street in between 8th and 9th, 312, where the Abington eventually went, where the Barrow Group eventually went, where the chain is now. We found that that space first. We were the first ones to move in. And in order to pay for the rent, because we did not have that kind of rent, that was a huge increase from where we were on 42nd Street, we had a benefit. And our benefit, I kid you not, was like October 1st, 2001.
So it was a month after.
A month after 9/11. And I mean, people were just not in the mood to give to theater, understandably. So it was hard, but we got enough of it.
Well, can I ask you, since finding
to make the down payment and to move in?
Yeah.
What's that?
Can I ask you, since Finding Neverland took off from Workshop Theater, you guys did it first. When it became a movie, did suddenly you get $1 million because you were there first, or it didn't work like that?
No, it didn't work like that at all. No. Nellie and Tracy optioned the play separate from us totally. They used their own money, and they did that, so they deserved all the credit and all the the kudos that came along with that. I did get to see a preview of it though before anybody else came out, so that was.
Boy, yeah. Who needs a big $1 million check for a theater that's struggling? I'd rather just get to walk a red carpet for a night. That's so much better. Let me tell. So after so ultimately though, the Workshop Theater that was around for a few years. And
they were around 25 years. They're still around. They're mostly.
But you're not. Why did you leave Workshop?
Well, because why did I leave Workshop Theater? We had moved into the new space, and we had two spaces, and we had a large space, we had a small space. And, I think that there was so much work being done as artistic director, I really didn't have time to focus on a lot of my own stuff. So once it was in good hands, and it was in really good hands when I left, Tim Harris was there, and Elisa Martin, and so on. David Pincus, a bunch of really competent people were there to take it over and to move on. Riley Jones Cohen was there, the managing director, and she was really the person who got us in there. So they were well set, and I wanted to go ahead and try to expand a little bit more on my own front.
Now, here's the deal: you run, fingers to the knuckle. You run Madison Avenue. You run the workshop, and then when Al Tapper came to you and said,
Yes.
"No, I'm thinking of buying a theater," did you have to pause? Did you pause and say, "I've been there, done that," or did you like jump?
The first. Yeah, what had happened is we had a theater, the Algonquin Theater, at 2008. Al purchased leased the theater, which was the old Blue Heron Theater.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. So we had that for about 2 or 3 years, and I mean that was a massive undertaking. The rent was I don't even want to know, it was like 25,000 a month. It was 5,000 a month in electricity because you had 2 floors you had to rent. It was just huge, and that was a day in day out operation, and it was on 24th Street in Park. Now, cut to like 15 years later, I'm 15 years older, and I was no spring chicken back then. All of a sudden, Al's like, "Look, we really need to," because we had been producing our own shows, but like renting space. Peter J. Sharp and Daryl Roth and such like that. We had been doing that, and he's like, "Why are we doing this? Let's get a home and put it together." So the space we found was the old Ken Davenport Theater, Primary Stages, which is a block and a half away from my house.
Well, that's yeah. Come on, yeah. Although, are there days when you wish it weren't?
Well, not yet. Not yet. I need to be here day in and day out. There will be days in about 6 months, 8 months from now where I may wish I was further away and not the only person to call. And I'm not. It's funny enough, Tamara Flanagan, who is basically the technical director and does everything here when it comes to any kind of work on there. She also lives in the same building. So the two of us are like within a stone's throw away if something is needed.
Which is going to be almost every day
exactly, which is every day.
Now, are you mainly a producing house or a rental space or a mix of both, or what's the deal?
Mix of both.
I don't know why I'm asking that, but I'm just curious.
Mix of both. We are Love Quirks is a rental coming in. Shrek Jr. is our own show. We are producing a musical review cabaret type of thing called An Unbalanced Mind.
Well, that's Al Tapper's own stuff. That's his songwriting for years. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's really a series of songs, very nice, lovely songs, by 4 very talented actors and a little narrator. And it's really, the little bit I've heard is terrific. My wife, Kelly McGuire, is directing it. I need to point that out. And David Wolfson is doing the musical director. And we've been with both of them since 2008, really. I've been with Kelly longer, but David since 2008, 2009.
Well, again, still so many questions. I want to hear about your wife, and you have a little kid, and there's a mazel tov. But the other thing is, okay, so you've got this theater with 98, 9,900 seats. Boom. Yep. Okay. Renting, whatever. How, I know Al Tapper's a rich guy. He's been on this program. But
yep.
Is it not for profit? Is it for profit? Are you grant writing? How do you make a show pay off? Just to get in the black, let alone make a profit.
Right. Well, there's 2 things. One is making a show pay off, and one is making the theater pay off. We have 2. Sorry, we have 2 goals. Yes. Oh, there's all kinds of sawdust in here. We have 2 goals basically at AMT. One is that we want to be a springboard for shows that are going to move on to a higher level, like Broadway, off-Broadway. So you start out here relatively inexpensive, comparatively inexpensive, to see whether or not your show works. And if it does, then great. You get the producers, you get the money, you move on to the next level. If you don't, then you haven't, usually you haven't bankrupt yourself on that. So that's one of the functions of AMT. But the second one, which is more an answer to your question here, is that we really want to become a neighborhood theater, a community theater, if you will, in the heart of Manhattan. And one of the reasons why I went to see Kelly performing in Honky Tonk Angels in Mobile, Alabama at the Alabama Shakespeare Festival. 700 seats, gorgeous. But the big thing about it is, as soon as the audience sat down and looked at their program, they were smiling. They were like, they wanted to be there. They were like happy to come in, as opposed to New York audiences, which is not always the case sometimes. New York audiences come in and say, I'm paying a lot of money for this. I just spent $100 on my dinner. You better give me something good.
So basically, you want your audiences to love crap. No, I'm kidding.
No. Well, we want, we are focused on, not that we won't take audiences from elsewhere, but we are focused on 41st Street to 51st Street from here to the river. There are 1,000 people, hundreds of thousands.
More than 1,000. Got to be more than that. That's only 10 nights, right? Yeah.
We've got Silver Towers, which is 2 75-floor buildings on 11th and 42nd. We've got the Strand, we've got MEMA, we've got the Pod, we've got Manhattan Plaza. There's literally hundreds of thousands of people in this area who we want to be. We want this to be their community theater. We want to involve them in readings. We want to involve them in selections. We want to get them involved in children's theater. To do this type of stuff, because I want to have that same kind of feeling when audiences come to AMT that they had in Alabama. I want people to come in and just, this is my place.
But that doesn't remotely answer the question about financing. Is, they walk in and there's a free reading. Okay, I'll go.
Right.
There's schnapps. Yeah.
Well, I mean, my hope is that we are going to be doing shows enough to get them involved to come and see them, come and pay in terms of that, but also donations, fundraisers, that type of stuff. As long as we keep it focused. New York is like this. What is it? 8 million people.
Like that.
You can't.
And that's one apartment in Spanish Harlem. They just keep going. Yeah, it's like a clown car. It's amazing. Let me ask you, Tony Sportiello, you are the artistic director of the AMT Theater in Midtown Manhattan between 8th and 9th on West 45th Street. Let me ask you, if you could go back to Tony Sportiello, age 20, when you were first starting, what would you tell yourself now that you wish you had known then?
That is an excellent question. It is not like I've ever really regretted anything that we've done. I like to think I'm smarter now in terms of how to get audiences and to get shows on up and how to choose directors and actors and pick your spaces and such. Probably I would have, well, here's an option. Maybe instead of trying to do my own thing, which is what I tried to do with Madison Avenue and the workshop and such, maybe I would have tried to join Circle Rep or tried to join Second Stage or try Playwrights Horizons. Maybe, to get involved in a larger space where you had more resources and I wasn't doing all of the work. Not that I did all the work in any of those spaces, but
the crown was a big crown. I mean, it was sort of like, the toilet needs cleaning. Oh, I got to call donors. Oh, and it's all in 1 hour. It's kind of like suddenly, like, man, it's a lot. I get that.
Maybe.
Can I ask you? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Continue. Yes.
No, but I'm going to tell you, I'll be totally honest. I've never been that ambitious when it comes to my own plays reaching Broadway or Hollywood or whatever. Care less on that. I would much rather see 50 people in an off-Broadway house that are loving a play, whether it's mine or not. And most of them are not mine. But man, we have done some great shows over at the workshop, especially Skin Deep by John Lawnoff and Levy Lee Simon and Ken Javi and Scott Sickles and a whole bunch of other great writers, Liz Amberley and such, where you basically, the audience comes in, they go in and they see the show and they love it. They're out talking about it afterward. I mean, that's really the thing. And if I could go back 20 years, maybe I'll do more of that. Maybe I'll start earlier and just do that, because that's really what it's all about for me, is having that feeling from the audience of seeing a great show and being satisfied.
Well, being a little modest, because you have had that kind of success with at least one of the shows that you've written. I remember seeing a pretty good play of yours called Tickets, Please. That was cute years and years ago off Broadway. But your most quote-unquote audience successful show is something called National Pastime, which has played in New York, but it's played all over the country. And you're like, are you not a celebrity in Mexico? But for some
Yes.
reason, what is it about you in Mexico in that play?
Oh, well, Mexico, that was a tremendous experience and still is. We just did a reading last Thursday with a young writer in Mexico. We're developing a script with her with AMT. And we're going to do a little cross-cultural experience here where we have American actors and Mexican actors, and we're trying to do a reading here.
This is genius. It's not you play good, bad, whatever. If you get them across the border with drugs up their ass, you have the money to run the theater for 10 years. One couple of bags of cocaine and in a cooch and a cookies, you bring them over the border, and there you have your theater. This is fantastic. Let me tell you. But going back to the AMT, which you happen to be in as we speak. So you had it as the 45th, which was essentially a rental house for all these years. Then you had Ken Davenport come in, who has had money in Broadway shows, Broadway hits, Broadway flops. He had one, the Jimmy Buffett musical that crashed and stuff. But what do you guys know about theater producing and running a theater that Ken Davenport didn't, or else he'd still be running the place?
Yeah. I mean, I never met Ken. I don't know what he did. Maybe he was too involved with Broadway and running this, because it's hard to do both. It's hard to do either. So if he was producing Broadway and running this theater, which I don't know that he was, maybe it was on somebody else, that would be a challenge. That would be a tremendous challenge. And the economics of running this space is daunting enough. Al's money is going to get it built and such, but after that, we have to make it pay. We have to make it pay through rentals. We have to make it pay through fundraising, through children's theater, through donations.
Are you going to do classes? Because that's the only way theaters. Are you going to give like improv classes and classes for children, and make it and bring educational shit into the schools? Oh, they love that. That's just thousands of dollars, but do it.
Well, that's a great idea. Thank you for giving me that. But
I want 10%. So there you go. So yes, but you're welcome.
We are doing children's theater in August. Mary, who's directing Shrek, is going to be directing a children's program for 2 weeks in August. We are in January. We're very excited about this. We have one of the Tamara Flanagan's husband, Steve, is one of the foremost teachers of Meisner throughout the world. And in fact, I think he's in Portugal at the moment. He spends half the year in places like, Europe and Asia and Africa, whatever, teaching Meisner all around the world. He's very successful. So in January, we'll be doing that, having it here in New York.
No, they're teaching Meisner, and actually, you really shouldn't be teaching. Meisner should be teaching him, because Meisner knows a lot more at that point.
He has 5 things listed as shows.
Well, yeah, those are performances that they're doing. But let me ask you, we have a couple more minutes before the quiz begins and we get our other people in here with Dave. But Tony, having done years and years of theater, producing years and artistic directing, we always ask comedians what their hell gigs were. What are like the hell nights that you've experienced producing nickel and dime theater for like 3-4 decades?
Well, I mean, without naming names, because celebrities are involved in this particular thing, which is never my choice on this. But there was this one point back about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, where we were producing a play of Richard Bachman's over at the Neighborhood Playhouse. Beautiful, lovely, lovely theater here. It was a play about a psychiatrist with 2 women, and the 2 women were separate parts of one woman. Okay, there was his patient.
So one was the vagina, one was the boobs, or no?
One woman was like really withdrawn, and the other woman was really outgoing. But they were the same woman,
Okay.
Anyway, long stories. But 10 days before we were supposed to open, the actress who was playing the subdued woman says, "Look, I'm getting nightmares by this part. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I'm dropping out." The woman who was playing the other one, the wild one, was a friend of hers. She brought in, and she said, "Well, if she's not here, I'm leaving too."
Oh, no.
The psychiatrist, who's no idiot, said, "Well, if they're leaving, I'm out of here too."
So you had to recast 10 days before
10 days before we opened, and we did. and we did it. And I believe Michael Mislop actually stepped in, who was Nellie Bellflower's husband, and also helped with Finding Neverland. I believe he was one of the ones who stepped in, and but it was literally, it was round the clock, 24/7, different costumes, different lighting, different props, rehearsal, learning the lines. It was just nuts, but it went up, and it went great.
That's pulling victory from the jaws of disaster. Honestly, Mazel tov. It's like all these shows during COVID that couldn't. But what about nights like when an audience member died, or a roof fell in, or something like, or hysterically, ridiculously funny, or you're not going to believe this happened when.
Well, I imagine that's coming up in the next couple of weeks, couple of months. I think the worst is yet to come, actually, in terms of that. I mean, we've had times where we've had to close because a cast member got sick or such, or we got snowed under. We had a fundraiser once. We had a fundraiser for Madison Avenue Theater, and as I told you, we didn't have a lot of money at Madison Avenue Theater. We lived strictly on the box office. We had a fundraiser coming up. It was our biggest event of the entire decade, and all these people were supposed to come, and it snowed like 15 inches.
I'll tell you this. This happened to friends of Dave. Dave was involved in a theater company on Long Island called the Other Vic. I don't know if you ever heard of it. The Other Vic Theater Company. And they were itinerant. They would play in libraries. They would play in community centers. They would go in a van all across Long Island. And then they finally got themselves a house, a place to play. They bought a place. And they were going to have their big opening night in this place out in Patchogue or wherever the hell it was. And that day, just a foot and a half. And they just, the $10,000 gone. Immediately nobody came, nothing happened, and they were out of that theater in like 3 months. It was just, it's the luck of the damn draw.
It is.
But we are very, very lucky to have with us Tony Sportiello of the AMT Theater. AMT standing for Al Moishe.
Something Tapper.
What?
Al something Tapper. Michael, I think.
You don't even know the guy you've been working with for 25 years. You don't even know his name.
No idea. I just found out he had 2 daughters, and he'd been married. Literally 25. Well, since 2003.
Well, mazel to him, mazel to you. I mean, maybe Dave will ask you about your family. He doesn't really care, but he'll ask it to be nice.
The cute baby. We see the cute baby.
Yeah, we see the cute baby on Facebook all the time. It's adorable.
It's his grandbaby.
What is that?
Yeah.
That's your baby?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, there goes my shot of ever having a show done at the fucking AMT. Thank you. All right.
Tony, I'm old enough to have grandbabies, so
Oh, I have a gorgeous grandbaby, and 2 beautiful kids, and Kelly is working and directing. As I said, she's directing Al's show, and when she's not going to do that, she's going to do the cabaret here. So I'm very lucky.
Well, we are very lucky to have Tony Sportiello with us in the neighborhood. Tony, don't go away. Thank you very, very much for talking with us. You are a lovely man. You are absolutely. We love. Why I would kiss your shoes. I would kiss your knees. And we'll talk about when we bring Shalom Damn it to AMT. We'll talk. But for now, let me bring Dave Lefkowitz back into the neighborhood to take you through the quiz with Leslie Hoban, Blake, and David Sheward. Let me play a little bit of a klezmer music to do this transition. And thank you so much, Tony. Don't go away. Let's play some music.